Welcome back.
Yeah, yay.
How was rehab?
It was awesome.
Great.
No, I'm kidding.
She was on vacation.
If
you are in rehab, peace out and good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck. I know it's not an easy choice to make, and we don't want to minimize that.
Not minimizing at all. God be with
not in rehab.
No.
Although I said we probably could all use it from time to time. Yeah,
absolutely.
I was on vacation with my fam, and we went to Tennessee, which was amazing. It's always great to reconnect.
Did you see Dolly?
To reconnect.
No. Reconnect with
the family.
With
and
my
the
family.
nature
Yeah, with Tennessee. But this is the first time I've been there since I was a child, and it is one vacation that is so amazing the whole time you're there, but it's not as hard to leave as a beach destination.
Sure.
Because you're on the move so much. So we went to Pigeon Forge, and there is just so much stuff to do there. And so getting home was nice. Getting back here is, of course, awesome. I miss you guys so much. I feel like I talk, but I don't talk. So when I'm here, so sorry in advance for how much I'm about to talk.
Well, no, it's great having you back, and like
Thanks.
I said, I interviewed 6 or 7 people and thought I'd stick with you anyway.
Yeah.
So, see?
Yeah, thanks.
He's lying.
Yeah.
You did it all?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I covered
you definitely stepped in. Thank you so much.
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did. So.
I haven't had a chance to watch any of them, but I'm sure you did phenomenal. As I said before,
But you got to watch her walk like an Egyptian, though.
I did. That was awesome. What is it? I always get them confused. The Morning Muddies or the Morning Muddies.
The Morning Muddy was what that was.
Morning Muddy runs one Monday through Thursday,
Yeah.
and Muddy River Mornings runs on Friday.
Yeah. So
I just call it the morning show on Friday.
yeah,
that's fine.
the Muddy Mornings. You have been knocking out of the park. So I just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
I know you said it takes you some takes, but
30,
you do
40, it's
such
fine.
a great job.
No, and you can tell because obviously, her numbers are a lot higher than mine, and that's fine because that's how I want them to be. I want her to do more of them, and she's doing great.
Yes, she may be a little bit prettier.
Yeah, a little bit. That's okay.
I don't. Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Anywho,
I'll live with it.
so you sent a couple topics for us to chew on. Both very interesting. They get my wheels turning so much that I'm like, ooh, let me dig into this a little bit more.
Which one do you want to do first?
Let's talk about United States of Canada.
Yes.
Not a new thing.
No, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Randy will have the graphic that I'll send him, and you're going to see it right now. The fact that instead of us making Canada the 51st state, like the president suggests, it would be like these states, including Illinois, which touch Canada or touch states that touch Canada, would then go north, and that would be the United States of Canada, and the remaining part is mockingly called Jesus Land. I'm sure it would be called something else. It would be the United States of America. So, and again, basically it's like, okay, these states that are all going to Canada, all generally vote blue, and the other ones are red. So I just thought that was very interesting to take a look at for all the people who talk about, New Illinois, and let's be a part of Missouri, and all this stuff. And
You know what it sounds like?
what?
We're setting up for a civil war.
Did you see that latest Civil War movie with Nick Offerman as the president?
No, but I love Nick Offerman.
I do too.
What's it on?
It's one of the streaming services.
Okay.
I mean, it was in the theaters, but I saw it in the streaming service. It wasn't great, but it was fine. No,
Was
it's
it
got
more
Jesse.
realistic?
Jesse, what's his name? The redheaded guy. He's in it. Then a couple. There's several well-known actors in it. And like I said, and then Offerman is the president, but you won't. He's a weasel in it. You won't like him.
Oh.
But it's anyway. So basically, yeah, the premise of that is. But it's weird. Their premise of that is California and Texas join up to break away from the rest of the union, and it's like those are two states that are like totally.
Oh, night and day.
Where are they at
Divergent.
in the United States of Canada?
California goes
Up?
to Canada, and Texas stays,
Yeah.
and Florida stays. So.
Illinois goes with Canada.
Yes.
I think they have.
Eh?
Yeah, but from Quincy down, and maybe even a little bit further.
I think from
we're more.
Chicago down.
Yeah, well, Chicago up definitely belongs in the United States of Canada. Everyone below, I think, is ready to kick Chicago's ass, right?
Yes,
like,
they
we're
all
just
they,
over
again they
it.
all want us to go be
Yeah.
a part of Missouri. Everybody here in New Illinois wants to
Yeah.
move over to Missouri, or everybody on the east side of the state wants to join Indiana. They're all
Yeah.
trying to figure out a way to get out or what have you.
Yeah.
So,
Which I feel like it could be doable because we gerrymander so many other things. Even in Quincy, we gerrymander things, right? To like switch up school districts and
Yes.
voting districts and all these types of
Wards,
things.
and yes.
Yes, I feel like it is doable. Now, what that does to our revenue and expenses and
You
infrastructure.
think your property taxes are high now? You become the United States of Canada? Oh my God.
I don't want to be.
I'm not saying you want to be. I'm just saying.
I'm wondering what it would look like if the upper portion of Illinois went to the United States of Canada. How would our property taxes look then?
Oh, if we went back to, if we were in Jesus land?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they probably still go up if we were in Jesus land because, again, you've got a lesser population to deal with it. Now, or they would just keep the taxes the same and then we'd all look like Mississippi. That could be that way too.
Wouldn't
Okay.
Jesus just take care of the property taxes?
Yeah.
He'd take care of, when you got in the situation where you needed him, he'd be there.
Yeah.
How's that?
All right.
That's my
You could
answer.
just turn my water into wine because obviously I would need it. But yeah, it's not a new concept. I think it was introduced like in 2004-ish, something like
Yeah.
that. And it's been satirical and, everybody kind of laughs about it, but it does bring up the bigger issue, which is spending, divisiveness, politics. Why does it always come into play? Why are they always connected? So we were talking about the Elon Musk and Trump
Divorce?
feud. Yeah.
They broke up.
The bro breakup.
They broke up.
Their
Yeah,
bromance
it's,
is no more.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see that lasting because when you have two powerful subjects, somebody's always going to get butthurt. This time it was Elon, right?
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, because the president, is trying to get his bill through, and the bill has.
What's that bill called again?
It's the
Big,
big, beautiful bill,
bill.
and it's got some pork in it, and
Lots of pork.
it's got some treats for everybody, but it also takes away some things from some people, and
Namely,
well, I mean, I think a lot of the cuts for that support the meal plans and things like that, trying to help people who like SNAP and things like that, those kind of programs.
So that
could
was
be
a
in the-
fact on
That
that
was a fact.
headline.
It was a fact, yes.
but also a couple of the big things were the taking away incentives for green energy, right? Which of course Elon's not going to be a fan of
Yeah,
because he's
tax
invested all
credits
of his
for
money in that.
EVs is
Yeah.
getting whacked, and yeah, obviously the
And
dude
then
sells Teslas.
deregulating AI for at least the next 10 years,
Yeah.
meaning that it's kind of, I don't want to say open market, but more people are going to be attracted to it because of the deregulations.
Yes.
Which is also an Elon thing, right?
Yes.
AI.
And the tariffs in general.
Yeah. So,
Like Elon wants the control for the
sure.
EI. Or the AI, the EI.
well,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that are currently in AI see the importance of, I don't want to say importance, regulating proactively. Do I think government needs to be involved? Not personally, but I think it would help him because, of course, he's going to get kickbacks of AI. And I don't know. I think it just opens up a bigger playing field that he's then going to have to compete with. So, what was the guy's name?
What is it?
Sam Altman.
Yeah.
What does it mean to open it up?
So, like, free markets, capital, like, it's basically capitalism. Like, anybody can get in. You don't have to have, like,
you could-
grandfathering in.
You couldn't get in before.
I think you could. It's because it's so new.
Just,
that
yeah, the government just trying to. I think Musk wanted the government to make it so he could really have the inside track on implementing a lot of the AI in this country, and the president wants to make it where it is more open for other companies. And we were talking about the deal he cut with the United Arab Emirates that Sam Altman did get his OpenAI, got kind of a foothold in that, and I guess Musk wasn't happy about that either.
Yeah. So it makes sense that he's not happy. However, his statement of, what did he say? He couldn't have won the presidency without me.
He said Donald Trump would not be president without him.
You think that's true?
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave him, what, 250 million, 300 million, something like that?
Yeah.
I think that probably made a difference.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't know.
agree. I think that
People already had their mind made
yep,
up before
I
he
think
walked in the
the
ring.
red wave happened because people were sick of the
blue.
previous administration. Partly, I think a lot of it was the things that they were shoving down our throats that not all people agree with. Big ones being the LGBTQ plus movement.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that was natural. Like, that didn't have to do with Musk.
One
I
man,
think
yeah.
it was
Right.
definitely already decided on.
Well, I think, again, yeah, I agree with that, and I agree that the left hanging its hat on pronouns and DEI and
social,
again,
yeah, social equity,
social equity,
oh.
and all that kind of stuff. That it's like, look, I'm not saying it's not important.
I'm not saying
but
it either.
I'm saying it should not be a factor. It should not be up here when we're trying to worry about an economy and
shouldn't be your
government
agenda.
and defense and all these other things. And for to try to make this a first and foremost thing, it's like, look, it just can't. You can't do that. You can't let that be your lead. You can't let that dictate everything. I just don't know why, your sexual orientation or whatever has to be the driving factor.
None of my business.
Yeah, do what you want, do who you want. I mean, it's
but I was looking at some of the kind of spending, because one of the big problems with the big beautiful bill is that it basically will, like, it's projected to increase our deficit by like 2.5 trillion over the next 5-10 years, something like that. So I was trying to look at, okay, if he's cut this much and we're spending this much, how does it even up? I couldn't get it to math.
No.
So then I started thinking about income taxes, federal income tax. Like, okay, so my personal income taxes, I know it's not something that's public to everyone. What are your thoughts on federal officials' personal income tax and capital gains being public knowledge?
I didn't know that it wasn't until we discussed this before. I was like, wait, they don't have to? It seems wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I think, especially if this is your gig during it, and half the time, we hear them say, I was a poor, undergrad before I got here. But now you have, like you said, 80 million in the bank. How did that happen?
Where is it coming from?
Yeah, how do all these senators and representatives end up being millionaires after a short time in Congress? And, it's funny because their stock actions have to be public. Everybody, Nancy Pelosi is a stock wizard because of her portfolio.
I was going to say they can still.
Yeah. But still, we still ought to know the overtly income tax. You should be mandated if you are in public office at a certain level.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a park board commissioner needs to, we don't need to know that. But when you're up at that kind of level, then I think you should need to open it up and say, hey, this is where my money comes from.
Yeah, and I know that wasn't a really good connection between trying to jive the budget with income tax. I just feel like there's so much fat put into these bills, which is another thing that I thought Elon was going to do, was use AI to uncover some of these, what do they call them, pork barrel agendas that are stuffed in these bills, which I would really like to see. So if you had the ability to scour through this bill and pull out anything that doesn't pertain to, or anything that pertains to an individual or their private projects, because I know, like, a lot of times in the past, one was $1 million for a pickleball court for somebody to put into, I think, even their neighborhood, right? So they're putting all these things in there. We don't even know because there's so many pages. It just goes back to transparency. So I just would like to see as much as we can see, especially when we're Medicaid, SNAP, these things. If there are cuts, we should be able to see where the money's going.
Well, I look at it also. It's funny you mentioned that part, but the state budget's the same way. The Speaker of the Illinois House in the Illinois budget that just passed, the Speaker of the House got $40 million for a sports complex in his district.
From where? Where did that money come from?
The state.
Okay.
I don't remember how it's state funding that is going toward this sports complex.
Yes, so it's a pet project
that
should be privately funded.
Yeah, but he's the Speaker of the House, so he's like, this is going to my district. We're gonna build this thing.
Yeah.
I would think we already have the AI in place too. Like,
it's there.
Yeah, like, we're just not using it.
Well, so even I tried to uncover some of these things, and evidently it's not published. This bill isn't fully published. Should it be?
Of course.
Yeah. So even if no one's going to take the time to do it on their own, like a ChatGPT or an open source AI should be able to find that publicly, scour it, and for the individual user, just the everyday user, should be able to find what projects are included in this budget.
Well, and then you've got, like, after they passed it by one vote in the House, and again, the Senate's loading it up with all kinds of crap now, if they even have a chance of it passing, because there are some Republican senators who don't want to vote on it. Rand Paul and then Massey, I think, are the two who are like, they're not voting for it. In the House, you've already got people who did vote for it, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, are going, oh my God, I shouldn't have voted for this. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stick by your vote, or
Do your homework before would be the preferential.
Yeah. If you didn't read it,
thing.
well, first of all, shame on you if you didn't read it. But
Yeah.
that's the way it is. Again, the Illinois state budget was passed through like in a day, and it was 3,000 pages or something. So nobody's going to read all of it.
But that
And
should
it's
be a
like, come
regulation.
on.
So while the only regulation that I'm really pro, like I'm all for it. When you put up a bill that's over so many pages that nobody can read it, you should have to allow so much time and bring in lawyers that are not affiliated with either party to come in and highlight everything that's in that bill that cause.
What if AI just reads it?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I mean, as long as we can
Somebody.
trust it, but somebody needs to be able to read, digest, pick out these things so that we can be privy to the
I'd
information.
almost trust the AI before having somebody human read a 3,000
yeah,
bill.
right.
But this state's General Assembly, this session began in mid-January. And they waited until the very last minute and did 95% of the work in the last 5 days, and then had a budget for people to look at in the last 24
Yeah, shame on them. That's what I mean. That should be
That's
the
crap.
shit that's going on in these meetings or these, hearings or whatever. That should be regulated somehow. And for some reason, it seems like everything's regulated, but what's happening at the top?
I thought this was all going to get fixed when Mike Madigan got, bounced, but
No.
apparently not.
I think everybody's a crook when there's something in it for them, right? It's like, ugh. Yeah, which brings me to something a little more topical here. Everybody got their property taxes, and I have seen so many people like, holy shit, right? I mean, they have just gone through the roof, and I think it's going to get worse. Like, we got the thing in the mail about MRN going up 50%. Like, where is this money going? Obviously, I'm not saying like schools and stuff don't deserve it, but I don't think it's going locally.
Well, in the energy part of it with Ameren, like your bill's going to go up between 20 and 50 depending on certain
Percent?
criteria. Yes.
Ugh.
So
For just a period of
for
time.
the summer, then it'll drop back down.
All
Supposedly.
right.
Um,
I don't know if
This
I've
is
ever
a push
seen a
for
drop.
solar, and this is a push for solar.
But okay,
Right?
well then the city just whacked solar. And the county can put them up all over now. Apparently, we're gonna have 5 or 6 in the county here in the next couple of years.
What are your thoughts on solar, real quick?
I don't know. I always thought there was like different kinds of, like, the thought of living next to one. I'm like, isn't there like a health impact with that?
Could be.
I looked it up. It says, not exactly. That
Yeah. But how long
there's-
have they been in existence?
Exactly.
It's
There's
almost
not
like a drug that's not
studies.
FDA
It's
approved.
sunshine.
That we're like, yeah, we're gonna try it.
What are so you think the panels are sucking the sunshine in and sending it to you in like gamma rays or something? What do you
If-
No, but the
It's-
material used and sun rays beating on. I mean, who knows what it's
if you're
putting
that
out.
close, I would
Okay.
think like it's
I don't know.
collecting sun.
Well, I mean, I guess if you were like sunbathing next to it, I could see that, but not
Yeah,
if you
maybe
live,
you
like,
can't-
a
Bet
mile
your
from
ass
it.
I'd be out there trying to get my tan. Get it. No, I'm kidding. But it's like, I don't think I mean, how long has solar been around? In the grand scheme of things, not super long, right?
No.
Jimmy Carter put solar panels.
Really?
Jimmy
50
Carter put
years,
solar
according to the
panels
producer.
on the White House when he was president, and Reagan had them taken out.
Okay.
So
Interesting. Yeah, I don't really. I don't. Of course, I'm not a
Wonder
scientist,
when-
so I don't know what it. I know the good, but generating the panels, and I feel like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
the bad
super
part.
efficient, right? So then,
And then disposing of
and
them.
then my question is, yeah. So you're sold this bill of goods when they come to you, and they're like, oh, it'll lower this for this much. But well, how long do they last? How much does it cost to replace? What does it cost to dispose? Like, what are the ins and outs? Which I don't know that anybody really knows, but I see them popping up all over my neighborhood, and I'm like, Randy knows, so we'll have to tap him for information. Maybe you can ask him. But
I will.
it seems like it's like when one person did it, now everybody's doing it, and I'm just really curious to see like what the pros and cons are of these things in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, you mentioned Randy. Randy's going to be joining Brittany. Somebody else is going to be joining Brittany,
Whoop, whoop.
and they're going to talk about maybe some solar and maybe some nature and some other stuff like that.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot more relaxing things than what we've just been talking about. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
I feel like what we talked about is nothing we can really solve individually, but it's worth it to bring it up because I think it's all important stuff that's kind of when people don't want to talk about it, that's how everything just keeps happening around you. Because
Yeah.
they're like, nobody's paying a lick of attention to what we're doing here.
Yep.
So there you go. Pay a little bit of attention, and even if you haven't paid attention yet, make sure you pay attention to the next segment.
Absolutely. We'll be right back.
What have you been missing on Muddy River Gems? You won't believe your eyes. My crew and I have been bringing you stories for more than 20 years on PBS and now Muddy River News. And we're just getting started.
I distinctly heard the call of a hermit warbler.
How exciting! Perhaps the Clampets will know if there's one nested here about.
You wait here. If there are any questions, I'll sneak out and see you.
But Professor Biddle would like to meet Mr. Clampett.
Yes, I'm trying to raise money to aid in the preservation of the California condor.
The professor is the only human being who has ever managed to live in prolonged and intimate contact with that rare and remarkable bird.
I've actually occupied a condor's nest.
All right, welcome back, and we are with Randy Phillips and Marcy Phillips, who is actually the guest today. Marcy is a birder, is what I'm going to call you. She runs the Adams County, Illinois birder page on Facebook, and she is a bird enthusiast. I know that sounds also basically what Bob said is bird nerd.
Yeah, bird nerd would be probably closer. I mean, enthusiast is definitely, but I'm no expert. Let's just put it that way.
Really?
Oh, I'm really not. I'm really not.
More than I am, I'll tell you that.
I was about to say, Randy pegged you for an expert. You know so much more about the subject than I do because I know nothing about the subject. Actually, what kind of drew me to this was a funny meme. I'm going to have to read it because I told Randy I'll butcher it. But as you age, it's ridiculous how fast bird watching creeps up on you. You spend your whole life being 100% indifferent to birds, and then one day you're like, damn, is that a yellow-rumped warbler?
That is exactly right.
What is a yellow-rumped warbler?
It's a little tiny bird that has a little yellow on its rump. Right, basically, it's black and white.
Is that like a rare bird?
No,
So
not
this
really.
meme's just, eh.
It's just it's just one of those things where they're around us all the time, and a lot of people don't pay any attention to them except if they're noisy and causing them to.
So I
plug
can
their
find
ears
one
and
in the area. One day that will happen to me, and I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
that is a.
Yeah, we've had them at our feeder, just not very often. But
Making a mess all over our deck.
yeah.
So I'm sure in most couples you have the birder and then the person that thinks bird spring poop. Are you the person that thinks bird
Well,
spring
yeah,
poop?
she's the one that likes to watch things fly, and I'm the one that likes to fly.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
true.
so there you go. Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's our thing that we have in common, our one thing that we
That's
have
it.
in common.
Is the wings in the sky. I find that hard to believe. You guys are seriously the cutest pair sometimes. Okay, so what got you into birding?
It was actually my dad, kind of that and 4-H. I had to do a 4-H project, and my dad said, let's build a birdhouse. So,
How old were you?
oh gosh, 8, 9. I always say 8 when I don't remember how old I was.
So were you
Young.
like in it the whole time? Like not? I mean, you
in
were.
the birdhouse.
No, like the anomaly of the meme. Like, did you care about birds when you were 8 years old?
I did, so I was unusual.
Yeah.
Because most people don't. Yeah,
No.
people, it's exactly what you said there for most people. So, yeah.
So with most people, do people come to you and say, hey, I know you're a birder. I want to start this.
Not enough. If anybody is listening and wants to,
Really?
get on the Facebook page.
Tell them all about the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I started the Facebook page because I wanted there to be a local place for when a rare bird showed up, somebody could post on there, hey, I saw this is unusual, and other people would have an opportunity to see that same bird who care about it. And there's about 200 people on it now, so it's not too bad.
When
but
you cite or say I saw a sighting, do you try to capture a picture and post that? Or is it kind of like, hey, this is around here, this is the area that it was in, keep a
most
lookout?
people try to get a picture since we all have our phones with us now.
Yeah.
But sometimes those don't take great pictures, and
Get
the
that
birds are not very
slightly
big.
out of focus Bigfoot picture of a bird sitting up in a tree.
Right.
Yeah.
And the sun behind it, and it's just a shadow.
What is a rare bird in the area?
Well, now I'm gonna mess this up, but there was some type of gull, and I think it maybe was an ivory-winged gull. This was years back. That was down at the river that caused people to come all the way down from Chicago.
Really?
To see it. So that
Wow.
was very unusual. But it's just generally when something like that happens and there's a rare bird around, it's a lot of times it's weather related. Like a storm comes and it knocks them all down. Sometimes they just get out of their normal migration flight path.
And it's a rarity. Is it usually a travesty then too?
No.
Like, well, I mean, if they're out of their...
Nah, they find their way back.
Really?
Just like that bear that walked all the way down from wherever it was at, down in Missouri, and everybody was following
cocaine,
it.
I think.
Cocaine bear. It was cocaine bear.
Producer Ashley says that bear was on cocaine. So. Okay, so I asked you the rarest. Well, what is the rarest bird that you've seen in the area?
Oh, that I've seen. I haven't seen any rare birds.
Really?
I have not.
Didn't you
No.
just post on the website earlier? Or what's your latest post?
I don't know. Probably about a rare bird. But what I use an app called eBird,
Oh,
and so I get rare bird alerts from them.
really?
Yeah, for Adams County, Hancock County, Pike County.
So there's an
all the
app
ones.
for that.
There's an
eBird.
app for that.
I think. Are there a lot of apps for that?
There are, and I was going to mention there's a really cool app. If people are curious what's in their yard,
Yeah.
there's an app called Merlin,
Merlin.
and you can hit record. It'll start recording the birds that it hears, and it tells you what they are.
Wow.
Just boom, 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 one right after another. So then you can kind of learn bird calls, which that technology's been around a while, but it's gotten really good lately, because it used to be like, be quiet, stay still, you're in a noisy area, get closer to the bird, and you're like, I don't even know where the bird is, I just hear it.
Do you have to wear, like, can you wear your bright orange Klinger shirt while you're bird watching, or do you have to camouflage in? Do you
It
think?
would probably be best if you were somewhat camouflaged, but camouflage can just be in your vehicle, too.
Yeah.
Pike
But,
County Rare Bird Alert.
yeah,
That was in 2024. A trumpeter swan.
okay.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we've had trumpeter swans down at the river, and sometimes the rare
Like I
bird
know what that
alerts. Sometimes the rare bird alerts are just they're out of season. They're here
Yeah.
out of season, so it's unusual for them to be here at that time of year.
You mentioned bird calling or the sounds. Can you make a bird call?
I can see if I can do one here. That's about as good as I get.
What is that?
That's a mourning dove.
A mourning dove?
Yeah,
That was really good.
and I learned to do that when I was a kid too.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you make any bird
I,
calls?
well, I don't typically do them, but that's funny, Bob. I did learn one off the Bob and Tom show
Do
that
it.
they did on there. Bob, who is now retired, used to do one. He did the African scissor bird, and it would go, cut your cock off, cut your cock off.
I don't even know where I go from there. Wow.
And that's how it got its name.
So she hasn't got you into birding?
No,
completely?
you know, I just by association, you know, and we live out between Coatesburg and Camp Point, and off the main beaten path there, and you know, we have I get to help put up you know, purple martin stands, and I
Is that
get
a type
to,
of bird?
Houses.
yes, yeah, that was that was the bird that was Griggsville was basically built around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And any of her special projects to put up birdhouses or things like that, of course, I get to help. And we do. I don't mind watching them. I don't get into it as much as she does, but
How excited does she get?
Yeah. I'll
Can you do that impression, Randy?
I'll sit at the there at the kitchen table and look out the back window, and I'll say, "Oh, look, there's a canary." That's not a canary. That's a whatever, a finch.
An American goldfinch.
Look at that.
Right.
It's seeping in.
There's canaries all over the front yard.
Where's your favorite place to bird watch outside of your house?
Actually, it's just right down the road from where we are. There's a couple of gravel roads there's bridges that go over creeks, and it's really nice and wooded. And the neighbor had given me the okay to take the ATV actually into the woods. So I've sat there for hours before and hear all kinds of things. And I was like, there one time for too long, and I was like, I got to give up. I'm not really see, because I take my camera with me and hoping to get a good shot. And just then this barred owl came flying through pretty low, and I got a bunch of pictures of it. It was flying through, and I was like, that's
So you sit there
cool.
for hours. That's
Yes.
what we were kind of talking about going into this, was like, this is something that's peaceful. It gets your mind
Yes.
off of politics, off of
Yeah.
the world burning, the
She'll
potential
leave
civil
home
war.
she'll leave home at 7:30 in the morning and won't get home till after dark sometimes.
What goes on,
especially in the winter.
like, in your head while you're
And I
sitting
assume
there?
she's bird watching.
What goes on in your head while you're bird
Yikes.
watching?
While I bird watch, I'm in complete ecstasy. No, I'm just
Do you blank out, or is it like just, is
No,
that
I'm-
your meditation?
I am pretty much constantly looking for something new, just a new bird, and it is just relaxing for me. And I do drive around. Sometimes I take a trip from dam to dam in the winter just to see how many bald eagles I can see and what other kind of waterfowl are out. And I was probably somewhere where I shouldn't have been in Canton one day, and drove up and got out and walked over the edge of this, dropped down to the river, and as I got there, I don't know how many ducks flew away, but it made me giggle. I was just like, and I ran back home and got another one of my birding friends, and we went right back there, and I said, you got to see this.
So do you have a lot of birding friends that are into?
I have a couple,
Yeah.
and there's a couple that are slightly swayed into it a little bit more now because of me, I think.
Nice, the influence. Have you ever thought about doing, what is it called, a big year?
No, I haven't, but I was going to discuss that.
What is a big year, Marcy?
Have you ever seen The Big Day, the movie with Jack Black in it?
No, but
Then
I
that's
love
a good
Jack
description.
Black.
It's a good description of what it is. Now, the big year is where you count your bird species that you see all year, and you try to beat your last personal record, or even beat a state record or a
Does
county
travel,
record.
can you travel in a big year? Does that count?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
if you want,
some people it's a big year if they if they go to South America, they're going to do it for sure that time because they're going somewhere different where there's a lot of birds. Like Costa Rica, if you didn't do a big year during that and you're a birder, you'd be missing out.
how do they do they just record that just via a journal? Like, how is that?
They may also use eBird. That's a possibility. Some people
have to have
would just
proof?
journal it.
do
If
we
you
just-
see something rare, they won't confirm the sighting until you have to describe it really well, or get a recording of the call, or a picture.
Wow, proof is in the pudding.
Take a great big reel-to-reel video, audio tape recorder with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be comfortable.
Have you guys traveled anywhere together to go, like she said, Costa Rica, anywhere exotic to go birding?
No, we went
Not
to
specifically
China.
birding.
We went to China, and I thought, I'm going to try to get out sometime and go somewhere. I wanted to kind of get out closer to the water. But we were in cities the whole time. So we walked through a park, and I saw a couple birds that we don't have here, but not much.
Are you guys visiting Gary Gibbons over in Hong Kong while
Then
you were
we
in
went.
China?
We went to a friend of ours. His wife is from Beijing, and we had the opportunity during the 2008 Olympics
Oh, wow,
to
that's
go
so
over
cool.
and spend 2 weeks there in Beijing and Tianjin and surrounding area, and you know, we got to go see the Great Wall and all the typical things like that. You know, all the tourist trap stuff. And,
I'm starting to think, can we tell them about the YouTube video? Can we send them to that page?
Yeah, well, we could, I guess. Yeah, Anyway,
You gotta let me in on this.
okay, all right. So I kept a video travel log the whole time we were there, and this was in the very early days of computer editing on a laptop, and I had my camcorder with me, and I would narrate a little bit or each day what we did and everything. And one of the days we had my friend's wife, her sister, her family still lives in Beijing, and her sister is fairly well placed in the government. And when dignitaries and people like that come in the country, she kind of helps plan their times and what they do and where they go. Well, she knows some fairly important and influential people in China. There's a gentleman there, his name is Mr. Ma. He is kind of the Frank Sinatra of China. And he's a big deal. And we had lunch with him. Oh yeah, one of these real deep voice and everything. But we had lunch with him one day at this big event center, and there was 50 people there, and a Chinese custom is that if somebody comes up to you and offers you a drink, you drink it, no matter what.
Oof. Yeah.
And since we were in town, and we're the big dumb Americans, everybody was coming up, and by the end of the day, I was just about done.
I bet.
And everybody else was done, and I was still.
What's like the drink over there?
We were drinking something called Mao Tai, which is basically Chinese moonshine.
Wow! Now I want to try this.
Well, it comes in various forms, and some of it's, you can get a $15 bottle of it, or you can get an $800 bottle of it.
Okay.
That's 150 years old.
Oh wow!
And we were drinking the mid-range, the 75-year-olds, whatever it was, and I said, "Well, I can do this. Let's go." And so by the end of it, I'm having a long discussion about cartoons with our friend's young, 6-year-old daughter,
something like
at
that,
the time, explaining why these cartoons are better than these cartoons. And it's
I remember having those discussions with you when I was young too. These cartoons are way better than what you're watching.
But anyway, yeah. So there's day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way up through day 16 or 15 or whatever it was, and it was a great trip, and we got to see a lot of neat things, and I'd love to go back sometime. I would never go back unless I had somebody who could speak the language.
Right.
Really?
I spent probably 3 months trying to study a little bit to get a few words in, and I could, by the time we got there, I could say hello, thank you, bathroom, and I could count to 3.
Wow.
And I picked up the word 100 while we were there.
Why?
Because you would, when you go into a shop, never, ever, 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 ever pay the price that's on the sticker.
Is that, wait, where?
That's a rule.
Just in China?
In China, yes.
Oh.
You must
always
too, barter.
We got told this ahead of time, and Julie said, don't do that. Don't buy something without me there. We got to haggle. Okay, fine. I got there. The first day we were there, we're walking through the shop, this big bazaar shop and everything, and I saw these wristwatches that had Chairman Mao going, hands on there. And I thought, oh, those are funny. I got to have a couple of those. And they were $20. I thought, that's easy. And I went back and I said, and the way they do it is they hold up their calculator and they punch in the number, and then you punch in an opposing number. Well, he punched in, $20. And I said, oh, no, $10. And he said, oh, no, you're killing me. Oh, And he punched in 18. And Julie came over and said, what are you doing? And she said, no. She punched in $2. And the guy was like, ah! And we ended up closing at about $6.
Well,
so it's not
I'm
just
taking Julie with me to TJ Maxx.
It's not just go low; it's low.
Yeah.
So, but it was a lot of fun, and like I said, I'd love to do it again, but no, never ever go without. And while we were there during the Olympics, everything there was English on everything.
Okay, so
everything had the Chinese word for this highway or this restaurant or whatever.
But there still wasn't toilet paper in the
But there
bathrooms.
still was not always toilet paper.
Really?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a hole.
It's a hole in the floor.
Oh, I don't think I could get down like that. I don't know.
Well,
It's a real squatty potty.
they've been doing it for 3,000 years. So.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a little bit about solar panels before.
Oh,
She's
okay.
the bird nerd, he's the nerd. You're going to tell me a little bit about solar panels, but before that, I want to hear so we talked about like birds kind of going off their hidden path, like their migration path.
Yes, migration path.
Would that have, do you think things like solar panels or sunlight in general have anything to do with birds going off their path? Or just the environment in general changing?
I think it's all weather related. I mean,
Like,
the
is it
worst thing
weather-
that humans do to birds, besides just tear down everything they live in, is oh God, where was I going?
Like, I'm assuming like the global warming, like the fact that humans are making a destruction to our weather patterns, whether we like to admit it or not.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that played a part in maybe these off migrations or.
It certainly can, and they can just change where they live. Like, we're getting warmer, so we'll see birds that are usually
Yeah, we
just
didn't
south
used to have
and
armadillos
slowly
in this area.
move
We
up.
do now.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's not necessarily changing their migration. It's giving them, I guess, a wider area to live, sort of, except for the birds that need to be in cold weather.
Yeah.
When I grew up, and up till 20 years ago maybe, I'd never seen a molehill in my life. Come out to my yard now.
Do you hunt the moles?
I would be happy to.
You just don't have the
If
time.
I had the time to. If I could go out there with a can of gas and pour it over the entire yard and get rid of every one of those little bastards, I would. No, and you know, she has a good point about the weather stuff, but there's also doesn't Earth's poles and the magnetic poles have something to do with it too. I know a lot of animals track, and it's been shown that they do track and figure out where they're going by Earth's magnetic field, and it's shifting. I can tell you as a pilot, there's several runways in this area. The runways are aligned by magnetic headings. You know, north is 0, or 3 is 0, and then it's 90, 180, 270, like that. Several runways in this area over the last 20 years have had to change their number on the runway because the magnetic pole has shifted enough that it's changed where the compass is showing it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
But obviously the runway itself isn't.
Runway's still physically where it was at. Just the magnetic deviation where it's at is different now. Yeah. And solar.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So we did discuss this before in the first half. You mentioned something, but you didn't have a microphone on you.
Right.
Solar panels. We were asking how long they've been around.
Solar panels themselves for probably over 100 years. In wide usage for industrial and other sources, probably 50 years. And since some of the incentives happened over the last 10 or 15 years, it's become more prevalent on homes. We have them in our house. We have them on our machine shed, and they face southwest, or they face south. And our bills have went from this to this.
Nice.
Yeah.
In the summer.
In the summer, and in the winter, because the Earth tilts a different direction and there's less daylight and everything, we have less usage out of them during the winter. This latitude of the Earth here that we're on right now is kind of on the edge of where it's actually practical, but like I said, we have our loan for it is a 7-year payoff. It will, after that, it's free and clear, and they're forecasted to last for at least 20 years. They'll still be useful after 20 years, but at the end of 20 years is when they say that's usually about how long they last, which is about how long a furnace lasts.
Okay.
Or an air conditioner lasts. In fact, a lot of them won't last that long.
I'm assuming you looked at the health risks beforehand, so can you correct me on that if there were any?
What health risks do you think there are?
I said the collecting of the sun and being so close to it, and
Well, you're no closer to it with the solar panels there than you are just standing out in the sun.
well, don't they collect?
It's the same way
UV
this
rays?
table would collect solar energy, the same way the ground collects solar energy. Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't collect more
No.
than a wood table?
It collects the space it has. If it's 10 square feet, it collects 10 square feet of solar energy, and it converts that through the chemicals and the minerals that are built, the crystalline structure of it all. That's how it converts it. Not photosynthesis. That's what plants do, but electrosynthesis, I think is what it's called. But it's sorry.
I said sorry.
No, there's no.
So it's nothing to worry about health-wise.
No, zero.
Okay.
Zero. Yeah. No, it's absolutely no different than you sticking your hand out. When you stick your hand out, you're collecting solar energy because your hand's getting warm.
Okay.
All this is doing is just collecting that same thing, but it's through the barriers that it's going through and the chemicals that are in that. It's not chemicals, it's minerals, but it's converting that into electricity.
So if
into
I am to
moving
go
electrons.
tanning out your house, I'm not getting the extra tan on if I'm laying by your barn?
No.
No, this tan comes from working, not from being at home.
Or from being outside for 12 hours looking at birds.
I don't go tan because
you're a ginger like me.
Well, I could show you some wonderful pictures of giant holes in my face, being cancer spots being cut out.
It runs
in
my
fact,
family.
here, let me show them to you right now. You're ready to
you've already
get a
shown
bucket.
them.
Would somebody
You've
get a
already
bucket so
shown
she
them.
can throw up when
You've
she
already
sees
shown
this?
them to me. It runs in my family too. It's yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I try to stay out of the sun. But speaking of the sun and places to go, like we talked about before, Marcy, where should Randy take you to go birding if you could go anywhere?
If I could go anywhere, now actually Costa Rica would be great.
Let me get my wallet out.
Yeah.
Take me.
Yeah, can I come too?
Costa Rica's not even that expensive.
Oh, good.
It's not like I'm saying Hawaii.
Wait, you're thinking Costa Rica would be cheaper than Hawaii?
I think so.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sure it would be.
You gotta watch the monkeys though. They steal your shit.
Yeah.
The monkeys are everywhere.
I wonder if the monkeys ruin
And the
bird
sloths,
watch. I'm
if you're
assuming
really slow.
They ruin the bird watching too. Well, can you
Yeah,
tell?
You need to talk about your bird count days.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing as
It's
a big
A
year.
big year, no, it's not the same as that.
Okay,
It's every spring during migration, which we just had it on May 10th. And then usually they call it, the other ones, that's the spring bird count. And then we have a Christmas bird count, which we usually do on the 1st of January, just because people like to get a head start on their next year.
Okay.
And there's probably about 12, 13 people that participate, or groups.
Mm-hmm.
And it went probably, they found this spring, there was 155 species and almost 4,000 birds. So, yeah, and to set the, where I said I'm not an expert,
Yeah.
there's probably 4 guys that are so good that one of them had 143 of
Are they
those.
from the area?
Yeah.
Can we name one?
Well,
Should we not bust them out? No.
I don't know. Jason Mullins is one of them. He probably wouldn't mind me saying my name. I'm sorry, Jason, if you do. But he's really good birder. He can pick up just the sound of them.
Really?
Know exactly what he's looking at, and he goes with a couple of guys. I don't know if the other ones, I don't know if they'd care, but there's a couple brothers who go together. And then people also do feeder watches.
That's what I was going to say. So do you have one of those feeders,
The bird buddy that takes the picture?
Or, yeah, so they make those now. Do you have that?
No.
Do you have the one where it goes inside of your house, sort of?
No, I have one that sticks on the window, though.
Okay.
So, suction cups, but then it always falls down. So
That's a great Christmas present, Randy.
the bird buddy would be,
The bird buddy.
or just another Cincinnati Reds shirt.
Yeah.
That too. Randy loves baseball.
He does.
No,
He
I
gets
don't
to
mind
watch it all the
baseball.
time.
I have a lot of friends who, and she's kind of one of them, that are into all the minutia of baseball, and all the well, this guy in 1988 hit 3 runs, but only after he tied his left shoe first. That sort of thing. Well,
Right.
I don't give a shit about that stuff.
Yeah.
I like hanging out with a bunch of people, watching a game, or hanging out with her and watching a game. Even her.
Because she gets, but she also is, like you said, huge Cincinnati Reds fan, and she gets elated, and you love to see your lady elated.
We went. We
Or
were there.
really, really depressed like lately.
Does it really do
Wah,
that to
wah.
you?
No, it doesn't really depress me. It's it's irritating.
Oh yeah.
See your wristband there?
Yeah.
Why Cincinnati?
That was my dad.
Really?
Yeah, when he was in high school, he went to Canton High, and everybody was Cardinals fans. And he just picked a team, and he liked Ted Klaczynski, who played for the Reds back then. And he decided to bet all of his teammates that the Reds would have a better record at the end of the season than the Cardinals did, and he won a bunch of money. So he was like, that's it,
That's
Reds
my
fan.
team.
And then when I was young, of course, it was Big Red Machine, which, of course, you know about them, right? The Big Red Machine, right?
Yeah.
And Johnny Bench was my favorite player, and they were an awesome
She
team
wanted
in
to
the
marry Johnny
70s.
Bench when she grew up.
I did. I wanted to marry Johnny Bench and be a pilot, and then I said, well, at least I married a pilot.
That's what I was gonna say. Well, at least then
Had to settle for that. Yeah.
settle my butt. Okay. So, real quick, how would somebody start off birding? Like for me, like I just started with my hummingbird feeder, and actually I don't do it. Mike does it because you have to be really diligent on that. Like
I'm changing it.
on the changing the water, you could kill your hummingbirds if
Yeah.
you aren't changing your water enough. So
And that's
people-
also how you get ants. And that's how
Yes.
you get ants.
Yep.
Yeah, we
you,
we
Archer.
sometimes do. Do you do hummingbird?
I do sometimes. I also have these tiny little ones that are just suction cupped that you can put a bunch of them on your window.
Have you ever got one on like the finger one?
No, I haven't. And I'm so depressed when I don't, because I've tried that.
I've tried it. It doesn't.
They've flown right by me. I mean, they're around the flowers.
Me too. But they dive bomb you. I don't think they're giving you love, Marcy. They're dive bombing you.
But if you sit right next to your feeder, they just hover there, right there by you for a
What-
little bit.
What's the a good though bird for people to start on to maybe feed to start watching?
Well, there's only so many birds that come into the feeder, but a lot of people like this Baltimore Oriole this time of year, and they put out jelly.
Wow,
Or-
really?
Yeah, grape jelly
Okay.
and or citrus fruit to attract them.
Which
And 'cause
reminds me,
they're pretty.
Know what you're feeding your birds. Don't just put it out there. Marcy's a big advocate about not feeding ducks bread.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
talk about that, because that actually is a kind of a big deal.
yeah, there was a couple. Well, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was down by the river, and there was a couple Canada geese down there that had weird wings, and I didn't know anything about it. They just didn't have any of the. It was just the middle structure, which, see, I don't know the names of that part, but no actual feather part on the feather.
Okay.
And I was like, what the heck's wrong with them? And so I looked it up, and it was like, if you go down there and continually feed them bread or potato chips or whatever,
Processed foods.
their wings don't grow correctly, and then they can't fly.
What are good things to feed?
You can feed them like corn, and especially frozen peas, corn.
What about grapes? Somebody said that one time, or is that a big no-no? I know dogs can't have grapes.
I'm sure raisins are fine, so I don't know why grapes wouldn't be,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. So feed them.
I know. Somebody look that up before they do it.
Yeah, again,
Because-
like what I just said. Make sure you know what you're feeding the birds and you're not killing the birds.
Right.
Right. Like one time when I was a kid, there was I think it was an owl that was injured in our yard. And somebody decided, well, it probably just needs to eat. So they went and got some raw bacon. That bird died. Yeah, bacon is not good for birds.
Bacon's good for Brittany, though.
Yeah, where'd that stuff you had over there?
I mean, it's gone
Yeah.
now. Okay, so if anyone, one last time, if they wanted to get into birding, tell me about the page again and how they can access it.
Okay, it's Adams County, Illinois Birders, but it's also the surrounding counties. But I started it out as that.
And that's on Facebook,
And it's on Facebook.
Adams County Birders.
Yep. And then if somebody wanted to take part in one of the bird counts, I always announce on there when they happen.
Okay.
And then they can message me, and I'll add them to the email list.
Marcy
We
will
do
help
the
you
old
get your hobby
email
on.
list. But I do feel like one of the best ways to get started is just to learn what's around you by using that Merlin app and just listening to the birds and having it tell you what they are. And then you might find out I have 15, 20 different birds in my yard, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Or you might find out that they're all cardinals, and it makes way more different sounds than you ever thought.
Really?
It's still interesting, though,
Yeah, it's all
to
interesting.
me.
She goes, to me. It's interesting to me, too, even though, like I said, it's like the meme that I started with. I didn't even, notice birds or care about birds until maybe in my early 30s when I was like, okay, I'm going to start with these hummingbird feeders. In about 20 years, I'm probably going to be searching for those warblers.
And there are places around this area that they have hummingbird get-togethers. There was, I'll put it this way, when we were doing the previous show before Muddy River Gems, we went to a place out by Camp Point, and there's a husband and wife out there that their entire yard is built toward hummingbirds.
Wow.
And they have groups from all over the state come in, and they actually capture hummingbirds and band them, band their legs and check, see if they were previously there and things like that. And they actually let you, you'll have one in his hand, they'll let you touch his chest and feel their heartbeat, and it's going,
Yeah.
as fast as it'll go.
Sounds like a party.
Yeah. So I guess we're about done here.
Yeah, thanks for joining the party.
Yeah.
Marcy.
Thanks for having me to the party.
Yeah, and thanks for being here, Randy.
Well,
producing.
I'm gonna tell our studio audience that I'm going to go home and I'm going to sleep with one of these women tonight.
Oh,
So, been waiting all day to say that.
Hey, my mom's
Depends on
coming
how
in shortly
loud the
to say
snore
hi to
is.
you guys.
Okay.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.